Hey guys, what's up? It's Rio here. I am just constantly amazed at the really cool database that the BFRO has, and it's a layer that goes right on top of Google Earth, as you can see. Right now, I have all the sightings, reported sightings. By the way, this is all these sightings are just a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the sightings that actually occur. I mean, I personally have received thousands of reports just from people just emailing me, and they've never been reported to the BFRO. So this is just one database of uh, sighting reports, and the BFRO is awesome, and I'm so thankful for their hard work in this. But I had a friend come and visit me from Ohio, and he's like, "Man, I just don't know where to go bigfooting. I don't know where to go and try to see structures and find a corridor and stuff." Well, for beginners, just pull out this database here. Look at the reported sightings by location, like we are right now, and say, "Oh my gosh, look, there's a string of sightings right here." And it's funny, it's following a green belt, right? Look, there's the city, 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 but then you have this green belt going along, and that's where the sightings are. See, Bigfoot, the thing that skeptics don't realize, most skeptics don't realize anyway, is that there's a rhyme and a reason to Bigfoot sightings. See this, again, this waterway, this green belt, you can see even up this high above the earth, it's apparent that this is still a faint little green belt there. I have all the sightings from 1900 to 2017 turned on. Up in northern Michigan, it's another place where there's lots and lots of Bigfoot sightings. And if you want to, so I would say figure out where the sightings are. Say that you live, in this town, whatever this town is. I turned off the locations, but say that you live in this town, you want to figure out where to go bigfooting. Well, you have these reported sightings right here. They're by these lakes, right? So what I would do is I would go here, and then I would just apply the rest of the formula that I always talk about all the time. Uh, Figure out where there are the waterways. Obviously, we have lakes here. Let's look for springs. Let's look for rivers, streams, marshes, ponds. Just look for waterways, beaver ponds and stuff. We can see here there's a little delta right here, and it goes along, and looks like there's a hill. Now, what I always say is, if you're above the equator, so basically if you're in North America, then look on the northeast side of hills. Now look at this. Let's try to figure out. So it looks like this is a slight rise. I can't tell really well, but it looks like we have some pine trees, some deciduous. Looks like this is a rise here, and then it goes down to the lake. So this sighting apparently, and I don't know how accurate these sightings are. I don't know if they happen exactly there, but I mean it's the right formula. Look, there's a trail. So I would go over here, and I would start walking around on the northeast face of a hill until I found structures. Then I would follow those structures around, and eventually they'll lead you into a place that I call a wallow, and you'll hear wood knocks. If you spend time there, you'll hear their wood knocks and everything. If the place is currently active, it might be empty. Maybe you won't hear any wood knocks or whoops or any of that stuff. But anyway, this is just a good starting point, guys. For those of you who don't know where to go, look. I always say step number one is look at where the sightings have actually been. There's a history of sightings. Now, like I said, there's a rhyme and a reason to this. It's not like sightings are just random. They happen. There's patterns. So look, we're gonna go to the Salt Lake area where I live. Look up here. Looks like this is the okay, this is around Avon or whatever, back in the mountains, Monte Cristo area. So there's a lot of hunters. A lot of hunters have sightings out here. So it looks like that we have ourselves a little cluster in this area. Well, this happens to be the place where I do a lot of my research, and I've had many sightings in here too. But guess what, guys? Not a single one of the sightings that I've had has been reported to the BFRO. And maybe I should do that just to kind of give back for all the ways that they've helped me. Up here in northwest Logan or whatever, I don't know what you call this place. There's a sighting here. Well, Kelly Shaw went out. This is called the Wellsville Mountain Range. Kelly Shaw went out and did some hiking, I think, around in here or something. And like I said, very, very, very few sightings are ever reported. I think it's like probably around 1 in 1,000 would make it to a database like this one. Because I happen to know that there was a sighting around here and a couple sightings, just from things that people have told me personally. There have been many sightings in the Wellsville Mountains. I know that there's been some sightings around the Sherwood Hills place, which is, where's that? Right here. So, and then of course there's been tons and tons of sightings on this on the mountains between Bear Lake and Logan, just tons. And it's funny, I only see one really, but there's just tons of sightings up here. So this database helps, guys. Why turn down a database like this? We in the drier regions, we don't see Bigfoot sightings. Now you'd think if it was a hoax, people would enjoy hoaxing it equally everywhere. But apparently, if you believe Bigfoot is a hoax, then you're going to have to believe that for some reason there are like super strong trends that conveniently coincide with where the most precipitation is, where habitats that support large omnivores, habitats or regions in the country where there are thousands of years of Native American traditions saying that there are Sasquatch there, not just from one tribe, but from hundreds of different tribes. If you're gonna say Sasquatch is a hoax, which is preposterous, which is ridiculous, you will literally have to explain hundreds of factors that create these trends. Okay, most Bigfoot skeptics, or self-proclaimed skeptics anyway, will say that will not be familiar with this map at all. It's totally foreign, it's totally alien to them that there's a database like this. So BFRO is way ahead of the curve in creating something like this. It's awesome. Good job, guys. I think that we would do well to report our sightings to BFRO and help them continue to create this map, because it's absolutely incredible. The reason why I'm on here today is because I'm going up to Vancouver Island to do Bigfoot stuff, to go Bigfooting, to go squatching. And so I'm looking at where the stuff is on Vancouver Island. And I'm going to go up there. Sorry, I have a cough today. I'm leaving this week on Wednesday. So, and I'm going to be driving all, two full days of driving. I'm going to be driving from Salt Lake, 2 days of driving. I'm going to come and stay in Oregon on Wednesday night. Then I'm going to stay in Washington. Or maybe I'll go to Lopez Island or something. Anyway, notice that when you zoom in, guys, new sightings appear. So even though it looks like a lot from out here, it looks like there's a whole ton. This is actually a lot less than there actually is, even on this map. you zoom in and more appear. Look at that. So it looks like there's some glitches in the program, unless somebody saw Sasquatch sailing or something. But there are definitely a couple of glitches in this. Like, it has this funky deal going on here, and just strange. I don't know what these deals are, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to complain, because this is amazing, and I'm so glad that they did this. I had another Bigfoot experience, my very, very, very first one. That happened in the Tillamook State Forest of Oregon. And I don't know how to find that on a map. So anyway, guys, this is a great thing. Like I always say, the formula for finding Bigfoot, number one on the list, especially if you're new, is to find out where the reports have been. Find out where the sightings have actually been. Look at this. Nice little cluster. Nice little cluster here next to this town. That's really interesting. Really nice little cluster. And it's spread out over time from 2003 to 2006, all the way back to 1997. Nice little cluster. And these are, guys, people need to understand, everybody is seeing Bigfoot. There are no cultural norms here. This crosses all cultural, political, geopolitical, age, gender, religion, ethnicity, everything. This crosses, kind of like, it's an interesting phenomenon. It's like near-death experiences, for example. They cross all. I'm not a big NDE guy, or an alien UFO guy. I'm just not interested in those subjects. But the interesting thing about those two subjects is that, like Sasquatch, is that they're, in my opinion, virtually undeniable. You can for with UFOs, for instance, you can argue that it's not aliens or something, but you really can't argue that people are not seeing UFOs. You can't argue, it's just airplanes and satellites. You really can't. If you're going to be intelligent and truly someone who's reflecting and thinking critically, it's just ridiculous. No reflecting person is going to actually argue those things. It's the same thing with Sasquatch. Everyone is seeing Sasquatch. It doesn't matter if you're educated or uneducated, if you're young or old. It doesn't matter what your income level is or what your belief system is. It doesn't matter if you're a skeptic or a believer. It doesn't matter if you're into fringe topics or you're mainstream. Bigfoot doesn't matter. You'll have sightings either way, and there are things that you can do to greatly enhance your chances of seeing a Sasquatch, and that's what my channel has sought to do, is to teach people how to enhance their chances. And by the way, it's had tremendous success. I mean, Project Go and See has resulted in many sightings and just hundreds and hundreds of encounters, probably thousands of encounters. But Bigfoot you can't say that this is a hoax, guys. I mean, if it was just seen crossing the road where near a town where some high schoolers would be pranking some drunk people or whatever, this is seen by judges, doctors, lawyers, all sorts of civil servants, and people from every walk of life. So there's no lack of credibility when it comes to Sasquatch. I've seen a Sasquatch. I know they exist. It doesn't really bother me when science says that there's not proof, because there's not scientific proof. That's okay. I'm not embarrassed to say that. It's true. There is not any scientific, empirical proof that I know of, at least publicly, at least in the public square that I know of, that people can go to for proof. So that's fine. There is no public, scientific, empirical proof of Bigfoot, which I'm not losing any sleep over that. That's fine. I don't really care. It doesn't affect the fact that it exists. It does exist, just like the giant squid existed before 2013, just like the billy ape existed before its discovery about a decade ago, just before, whenever the billy ape was discovered. It existed just like the snub-nosed monkey existed, or snub-nosed ape existed in Western China before its official description by Western science. So Sasquatch exists. I don't exactly understand, admittedly, don't understand how it's not being detected in all these circumstances. I don't really know what it does specifically to avoid detection. It is a mystery. I don't understand why hunting dogs and tracking dogs don't track it down. I can't explain those things. I know that dogs and Sasquatch have a history of interesting behavior. The dogs are always scared. They whimper. They run into the tent. They run into the truck. They cower between their owner's legs. Dogs act strange around Sasquatch. So there's these strange anomalies that happen with that make Sasquatch seem fake or seem stupid. But regardless, who cares? In the end, who cares what it seems like? What really matters is that you can get out there and just experience it, and then guess what? You'll know that it's real. Does it? I don't know what exactly a Sasquatch is, whether it's a Homo heidelbergensis, not ancestor. What's the opposite of ancestor? Descendant. Whether it's a descendant of heidelbergensis or Homo antecessor, or I don't know if it's an ancient descendant of Hydropithecus or something. I don't know exactly what Sasquatch is. Could be a freaking alien from Mars. I don't know what it is, but that doesn't really matter. What I do know is that it exists. I've encountered it hundreds of times, just hearing it and getting rocks thrown at me, or pine cones, or hearing screams, growls. I've been bluff charged. I've had sightings. So it totally exists. And people that think they're being skeptical about Bigfoot often are just being cynical. They're being critical and they're being cynical, but they're not being critical in an intelligent way, because there's nothing intelligent about cynicism or pessimism. Nothing about pessimism indicates that you are thinking critically. Nothing about cynicism indicates that you're thinking critically. It's wonderful to be skeptical. We should all embrace science. We should love science. We should cling to science. Okay, there's no magical thinking going on with Bigfoot. It's absolutely a real phenomenon. We should never abandon science. For example, if you believe in flat Earth, you literally are abandoning science. You are literally walking away in the opposite direction from physics, science, astronomy, and pretty much education itself. With Sasquatch, however, it's not like flat Earth. It's nothing like flat Earth, because you're walking straight towards science. Now, science and scientists are not the same thing. Science is not right or wrong. Science is just science. The scientific community can be majorly wrong, and always are wrong on certain things. Which is why science evolves. So at any given point, the scientific climate, the scientific community, the individual scientists are wrong, or are headed in a different direction, just like they're also right and they're headed in the right direction. And that's okay. Bigfoot there's nothing unscientific about Bigfoot. Bigfoot is a species that exists, and it is not that hard to encounter. It could be proven true in a court of law, which has a different set of standards than scientific evidence. The evidence that's presented in court is entirely different from the evidence, the physical empirical evidence that's demanded by science. And so I just want people to understand that. The science has some different standards, and for whatever reason, the net of science, Sasquatch is like a minnow that's swimming through the net. The net of science is not stretched wide enough, or is not perceptible enough, is not able to perceive certain subjects like Sasquatch. And in the future that will change. But currently, we all have to deal with the stigma that Sasquatch is stupid and it's for rednecks and it's for gullible people. But in the future that will change. But in the present, guys, who cares what society thinks about Bigfoot? In the present, you get out there, you focus on experiencing it yourself. Okay? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Have an awesome evening, and I'll see you up in Vancouver Island next week.